trickery with numbers. You know, that's not trickery with numbers. That's like effective use of what you got. I mean, because there's nothing. I mean, what are you going to point with those four guys and say they won a game? Okay, you won a game because Swisher hit the grand slam. You won a couple games that Masterson started. You know, maybe Borney had something to do with one of them there. So, you know, let's just say that $44 million won you an extra 5 games. You won 80 with the $40 million part of your line. That may be a record. I got to find one of those sabermetric people to do the math. One of the real people that really get into the Moneyball thing and just go, do me a favor. Based on that number right there, has any team won more with less than that there? Because that's a tough one there. But anyways, looking at some of those pros and cons, and unfortunately, it looks like Mike's meeting. Here's what's messed up. Let me tell you real quick what happened with Mike. Mike Brandenberry yesterday had a meeting scheduled. You guys remember at the end of the show, I said, Mike texted me, I got it late, and said, man, my meeting got canceled. I'm able to do the show. It was too late. So today I said, hey, you want to come on and we'll talk Tribe and we'll talk some playoffs? Yeah. Then he hits me up and goes, funny thing, the meeting that I had yesterday got rescheduled for today. And so I don't know. That's obviously what happened. It's all good. Mike will be here next week. But just want to head that up. Hey, you guys, did the Tribe win last night.com. Check them out this week. Not only are they looking forward to what the Indians are going to do in the offseason, they got a great series of articles about the 96 Indians and that run that or 97, Indians and that run that they had, the second team that was headed towards the World Series, and of course all the magic that they had during that season. A great series of articles that they're doing there. But getting back to Victor Martinez, you know, just looking at what he did against the Indians, and that alone is I think nullifies. I see Bruce in the chat room. He said pure natural hitter. That also I think nullifies that as well. And you got a guy who's not going to be depended on to play much in the field, although he can if you need him to. He can, you know, but you've got issues because, I mean, at that point, you do have a log jam. Now, I'm not worried about the money. That's the aspect that people keep arguing with me as well. There's just too much money. No, I'm looking at you really will have 3 guys that all kind of do the same thing there when you look at Swisher, when you look at Santana, and then obviously Victor Martinez. They're all going to play some first base for you. Well, not Swisher anymore, but Santana is, and they're all going to be majority designated hitter type guys. So, you know, that's part of that too there. But that, you know, that I'll deal with. I'll deal with that log jam. We'll figure that out. We'll find some way to deal with that. So, and the big, another thing, and they pointed to this is why I think some of those guys over there, the PD, listen to the Sports Fix. I'm just going to say that I know for a fact that they do. But they brought up about what I keep coming back to, which is that's the one move that's not only a good baseball move, but to me, anything, I mean, really, more than anybody else, it's the one move that the Indians could make that would actually have more benefit at the box office even than whatever they thought they were going to get from Nick Swisher, they did not get at the box office. Not talking about wins and losses. And you got to admit that they did think that they were going to get more positive PR from the whole Ohio State thing and the bro and all of that, and Brohio, as we know. They didn't get the box office buzz that they thought they would. Bourne was a baseball signing. Swisher was a baseball signing, but also a public relations signing, and look how much money we just spent. You can't call us cheap, all that stuff. So, Victor, that's a true public relations signing that can still come and bring a bat with him. But he would bring a lot of those people that 4 or 5 years ago when the Dolans traded Victor Martinez, traded Cliff Lee, before that traded CC Sabathia, so on and so forth. That was one of the last straws where a lot of these fans that are sitting at home, we see the numbers. How many people are sitting at home watching the games? That's where these guys went. They still love the Indians, but they're like, I refuse. And I do believe that this is more true than a lot of you guys realize. There's people that are just so anti-Dolan, they refuse to go buy tickets until somebody else buys the team. Well, if somebody else isn't going to buy the team, that's fine. There's your next best thing right there. And that's one of the biggest reasons, too. Not only is he going to bring you an actual stick that's going to contribute, but he'll pay for himself, I think, at the box office. He would definitely bridge that gap between the fans that were there and went away the last few years and the ones that are still there. I'm telling you, that would be a big big reason for that. And the biggest thing is you also, at the same time, damage the Tigers. You take something away from them and add it to your team in the division. I mean, that's just a natural change right there. You're going to weaken them from losing Martinez, and you're going to weaken them from the protection that he brings to Cabrera, which might change the whole dynamic of the middle of that lineup. So those are all the good reasons. Obviously, we mentioned some of the cons too, which was where you put him. And obviously, I think at that point, you would have to try to flip Santana, perhaps the asset that is Carlos Santana, into some type of pitching, perhaps, or a different position of need there, because then he becomes an asset that's valuable and also tradable. Although, part of me says you put those two guys together in the lineup with Brantley and a couple of these other pieces, all of a sudden Carlos Santana's not walking because he's seeing a whole bunch of stuff to hit. Either that or he's walking 300 times instead of 100. But I think there's a possibility when you have intelligent hitters like that, I think you put them together, Carlos Santana could be worth more than what you bring in a trade. But where the hell do you play him? Unless you're going to, is he going to go learn how to, maybe he'll go learn how to play short or second or something this time. We can add him to some other infield position. But yeah, that would be an option there. You'd have to open up to maybe trading Santana for some pitching or something like that. And the other thing, as I said, is being stuck, worrying that you're going to be stuck with a guy in 4 years that you're paying $15+ million to, and then he's, Nick Swisher, unfortunately. Not trying to pile on Nick Swisher, but that's true. But when I saw that at the front page, I said, yeah, that's right. That all of a sudden something that and what's funny is the same people that write this, and I'm not trying to, take shots or anything, but I mean, I am, but I'm not doing it in a cheap way. I'm very openly telling you who I'm talking about, and I'll gladly have this if they want, have this conversation with anybody. But I like Hoynesy for the most part, but, the same conversation that a week before was stupid to even have because this, that, and this and that. And now all of a sudden everybody's having it because a lot of these reasons that we've pointed out ad nauseum. I'm telling you, there is a not the window of opportunity that teams always speak to. There's a friggin' window here in Cleveland that needs not a good window either. That's going to close quickly here, and never that I know of. It's been a long time since Cleveland's been a 3-horse town when it comes to the sports teams, and there's a possibility for that situation to be coming around again. So you want to be out and on top of it. And I just think, man, all of a sudden, and think about this, for those of you that are maybe just kind of casual Indians fans, but you're Cleveland fans in general. Okay, LeBron, obviously he was a hometown guy, but he came back to Cleveland. Victor Martinez, let's say he signs with the Indians and comes back to Cleveland. All of a sudden, for whatever their reasons were, 2 marquee free agents back-to-back chose to come to Cleveland. Maybe that turns a little bit of that narrative that nobody will come back to Cleveland, because now all of a sudden you don't just have, mid-range guy. You don't just have Nick Swisher coming at the end of a career. You got a couple of frontline free agents there. I don't know. I mean, whatever. But I just think that's a hell of a marketing ploy for the Indians. I would call LRMR. I would hire LeBron James tomorrow. Hey, if you want to throw Johnny Football in the spot too, go ahead. I'd pick Brian Hoyer myself. I would have Hoyer toss the football to LeBron, who catches it and says, welcome back, LeBron. And he goes, thanks, Brian. And then he tosses it over to Victor and says, welcome back. And Victor catches it standing outside of Progressive Field and says, it feels good to be home. And then, boom, that's how you sell your season tickets for the Indians this year. It's good to be home. It's good to be Cleveland. So that's my sales pitch for today for Victor Martinez. That's what we were going to talk about with Mike Brandenberry, who actually just texted me his apologies. He'll be back, normal schedule this week. So you guys will look forward to catching up with Mike. Check him out, didthetridewinlastnight.com. Also, Progressive Field, the renovations continue. They've torn out the batter's eye bar. Some of you have seen the pictures there. They're getting ready to dig in the new bullpen areas. There are a lot of changes coming. They've temporarily moved the Feller statue over to the players' parking lot. They've pulled up all the pavers from everybody that helped pay for that. Those red brick pavers. They've got those moved out of the way. It's going to be kind of fun over the next few months, and then you'll have winter construction, and then when the snow starts to melt, you'll get to see the back end of it. But it's going to be kind of fun to watch the transformation of Progressive Field, because it's going to be, it's stayed in great shape all of this time, but it's going to have the feel kind of a newer type park, because it's going to have so much changes to the outside aesthetics there in a couple of areas. It's going to be interesting. That's another thing I'm talking about. That buzz. You're going to have buzz is the key word, and there's going to be nothing but buzz at that time of year here in Cleveland between whatever, especially if there's positive momentum down the stretch of the Brown season. Everybody knows what's coming with the Cavs, and then whatever may happen with the Buckeyes in football and basketball. I mean, everything. It all rolls towards the beginning of the baseball season. The Indians can grab this town by the ears, flip them over. All of a sudden, I'm telling you, one move, all of a sudden, people are like, hey, where's them Indians tickets at? I don't know, but you can at least get some attention, and you need to, because otherwise that tidal wave, that it washes over you, man, and that's not good. I don't care even if my man Bruce would be like, I don't care, let him move. He really doesn't mean that. I don't care what he says, because he would prefer not to pack up and move and have to follow a baseball team. So just for logistical purposes, Bruce, it's better to keep him here. And I seriously, I don't care what anybody says. You don't want to go down that road of even having that discussion. The Indians are a civic institution, much like the Browns should have never left. And, obviously the Cavaliers, that's the funny thing is, to me, even with the LeBron thing, Cavs easily bring up the rear. I mean, they're still, the Cleveland Cavaliers, but of the three, easily number 3 in my book. I mean, Indians and Browns 1 and 2. And that's just me being honest. It has nothing to do with the game of basketball, baseball, football. It's just that's the way my fandom lies. And for much of my lifetime, this whole town has been the same. But obviously, that's up for grabs here now. And the Cavs are playing for keeps, too. So Indians need to go out there and do it. I'm going to go back to it. V-Mart solves a lot of problems. Call him a cure-all. I don't know if he cures it all, but he cures enough of it that you feel a hell of a lot better moving forward there. Hey, baseball. Indians, their offseason cannot begin until the baseball playoffs are over. We're still knee-deep into it. Got 4 teams left. Tonight, that begins. And then tomorrow for the National League as well. But tonight, Kansas City, Baltimore, getting at it in the American League Championship Series to decide which team, after 30 years plus, 29 for one, 31 for the other, returns to the World Series. Shields takes the mound here for Kansas City. That was the big signing, big deal for them there to get Shields, and a lot of talk of whether they're going to go forward after the season, but they're not even worried about anything but one night tonight. Baltimore is going to be a tough one there too. Baltimore can smack that ball around. Royals, they like to hustle, they like to steal, they got that bullpen. You've of course got the managerial question. Some people love the guts of Ned Yost. Some people think, I'm telling you, it's you read Twitter, you think the cat could win the World Series and get fired in the same year, because he's either a genius or an idiot, depending on which inning of the game that you're looking at. But it's going to be a good one, and it starts tonight. Tillman on the other side for the Orioles there. Going to be a fun series, I think. James Shields and Chris Tillman going at it. James Shields, 11-7 lifetime against Baltimore, but he's 2-0 so far this season. Been successful, and like I said, 29 and 31 years for those teams since they've been to the World Series. Tonight, they start the journey to one of those teams ending that. And don't forget, too, if this series goes long, which we haven't seen yet, we haven't seen a series get extended too much, but if it does, Chris Davis, Game 6, able to come back. He's serving that 25-game suspension, so he would be eligible to come back in the back end of this series. That could be a big lift for the Orioles if you even get down, of course, into the second half of this series. But it starts with Game 1 before you can get to Game 6 in Baltimore at Camden Yards, Oriole Park. Shields and Tillman going at it. 8:07 is the first pitch for the Royals and the Orioles in the American League Championship Series. Then you go over to the other side. It starts tomorrow. Good pitching matchup to kick things off between the Giants and the Cardinals. Bumgarner and Wainwright, 20-9 for Wainwright. Bumgarner, 18-10. I'll tell you, the the pitching matchup there is a good one. And I know there's some people, Dan Wismar, a lot of you guys that hit me up, go, J-Rock, I don't know how you could get in with the Cardinals. And I know there's a lot of people not with the Cardinals, but I thought how fitting, as Dan pointed out the other day, the last, 4 World Series teams from the National League meeting at it here for the chance to make it 5 years in a row that one of those two is going to represent the National League. That's one of those shows you that when it all